This is electronicrhythm.com.
Welcome to the Underground Movement Show, presented to you by Electronicrhythm.com. I'm George Ron, your host. You might know me as Parallel Preservation, or I also go by G-Ron from New York City. Thank you again for coming and listening to our show. We like to bring you artists that have been around the scene, have been doing a lot, and are still pushing through and bringing electronic music to another level. And we love that electronic music now has gotten so popular that it's everywhere now. But there was a time where it wasn't. And one of these gentlemen that's with me today, we're going to go into their backstory and find out more about what he did to help bring electronic music out into the world. And I'm really looking forward to this one. Thanks for joining us. And right now, I want to introduce you to the one and only DJ Natural Nate from Colorado Springs. Nate, how's it going, brother?
Oh, I am skinny and cold in Colorado.
No way. Did you say it was going to snow?
Oh, it's been snowing off and on. It was actually supposed to snow last night and today, and thankfully it didn't. Like I said, I am not a snow fan. For somebody that lives in Colorado, I am not a fan of the cold or snow. So it's kind of funny. I even stay here, but if I move somewhere else, I sunburn. So I'm kind of doomed either way.
All right. I guess in the summer you're good then, right?
I sunburn. So
yeah. Even in the summer.
I wish it would just stay fall the whole entire time.
Oh, yeah. Fall and spring are the best, man. So, Nate, how many years can we say you've been working on electronic music? 10, 20? What are you looking at?
Well, we're gonna start way over with that question because
okay.
Right. You know what your listeners probably will never know unless I say it out loud, that you out of everybody were my biggest inspiration, and you were the first mentor, and really the only mentor that I had into this industry. I mean, me and you go way back before I was even an artist, and me and you met in North Carolina. We both were United States Marines, and we
Hoorah, yes.
Some of the same friends. And what the ironic part about everything is I never wanted to be a DJ. I never wanted to be a DJ. That's the craziest thing about the whole thing. I never wanted to get into production. I never wanted to do any of this. And so finally, the break scene in North Carolina was really a good thing there for a while. And then kind of towards the end of it, before I moved back to Colorado, it was getting into just a lot of music I just didn't like, just personally. We had our little dance crews and our little break dance crews and things like that. And so I was already buying CDs for $20, $30 a CD. And
yep, I remember that.
And you'd get maybe one track that you liked.
Yes, exactly. I got to buy just for that one track.
Yeah, and so I was one of those compulsive music buyers, and just going to a lot of shows that they were even expensive back then. So I don't know why people are complaining too terribly much about the prices on shows these days, when some of the shows even back in 95, 96, I mean, they could be $50 to $100 even back then. And so
yeah.
So I was as we went to many shows together, and never really stated out loud that I just wasn't enjoying the music that much, but it just came to a point where just started realizing you're spending all this money on shows, you're spending all this money on CDs, you're spending all this money. Why don't you just get a pair of turntables and just make the music that you want to hear? And my intentions were never in a billion years to even be a DJ. I never cared about being a DJ ever, and I just wanted to make that clear. And so once I got my turntables, who was there? G-Ron, Georgie. And I mean,
yeah, brother, you make me blush when you say those things, man, because I really appreciate it, because how you've become, I really appreciate, wow, look at everything that you have done. And I was there with you from the start. And let's go back to that era. We met partying. We met dancing and stuff. I was also in North Carolina looking for anywhere that had good electronic music. Of course, I'm into house and techno and stuff like that around that time. I found breaks, which was cool. I also had been to California, which there was a big break scene over there. So when I had found it in the East Coast, I was fine, you know. And then you had the stuff that was coming from Europe, you know, Prodigy was going on and stuff like that. So I was already into break. So, but listening, us getting in there, you would show me a lot of stuff. And I remember you'd be out there breakdancing. You were breakdancing before, right? You were a breaker?
I was, you know, yeah. I mean, you know, we had Will, Tony, Mike Underwood, Donnie, and
right, Mike. Yeah, I remember.
Whole crew. I mean, just everybody. Yeah. We were just dancers, you know. And
I remember.
Yeah, I just love dancing personally. You know, I wasn't like a power break dancer. I was more, you know, I don't even really consider myself even a popper as much as just, you know, just doing our own styles and stuff like that. But, you know, I just, going back to you though, you know, I know you tried to dance around.
Good.
You know, so again, you know, once I got my turntables, you know, my first question to you, and this is the truth. My first question was, do you do a backspin? And with a record.
Yes, I remember. I remember, brother. Yeah, that's funny. I remember.
Laugh out loud because you showed me a couple different. I was just so interested in not even necessarily the DMC side of, you know. I just thought it was the coolest thing that you could you manipulate records. And I've got a funny story, even, you know, before wanting to get turntables, but, you know. So I got into it a little bit. Obviously, you were there, and, you know, one day you pulled me aside and you said, Nate, let me tell you how to count beats. And that day, right there, created DJ Natural Nate. That day right there, and you didn't think that I was paying attention that much, but you know, I'm going to jump just a tiny bit ahead. So the way you taught me how to count beats, and the way you told me, you said, you know, production is made, and you gave me the simplistic form: 32 beats times 2, and you generally on the 64s, you're going to add something new, or it's going to break down, and that just by itself was the only mentorship that I ever really got from anybody, to be honest. You are solely the reason why I was able to do everything that I've done.
Brother, I appreciate that. And the thing is, you put me back in there, and I remember that whole time frame. And what it was is, you were already matching beats. You were keeping them on beat, you know, and that's one of the hard parts, especially when it comes to vinyl, keeping them on beat. So things would change, and then it would be, and I'm like, bro, listen. And I think we sat there, and I'm like, listen, let's count it. And and I think we counted the beats, and you see something change, and you were like, oh, I saw your eyes light up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It wasn't, and it's funny you said that though. You know, and believe it or not, you know, a lot of the people listening and people that know me and stuff. You know, at the time, I didn't jump completely into breaks. I was into a lot of like acid jazz and down tempo stuff, and I was into drum and bass. And believe it or not, for some odd reason, I don't know what it was, but drum and bass, I just almost instantly was matching beats. It wasn't a tough thing for me. And then, I mean, you didn't even have to say it twice. As soon as you said count the beats, I just, you hit it right. My eyes lit up, and I was like, damn, that's it.
now, can I return the favor here and tell you there was something that you taught me, and it's always been my inspiration. There was something you did after you were matching beats. You were doing your things that, you know, we used to go to events and stuff like that, and then afterwards go and hang out. We were playing records, and I remember it was like it was late. Sun was coming up, and we were playing some down tempo stuff. You know, you were DJ. We were just listening with the crew and everything. And brother, you came in with what song that totally changed my mind? How Deep Is Your Love from the Bee Gees. Now, maybe people can't relate to, or can be like, what is he talking about? But for the people that are out there, we were listening to something at that BPM, and then when he threw it in, it was so beautiful that it made me realize, like, yes, anything could be played with anything if the energy is right, the time is right. It made me realize there's times that any song could be played throughout any time of the day. You just got to know as a DJ when to do it. And that was my breakthrough, and you showed me that, and I always wanted to thank you for that, brother.
That's crazy, you know, and we'll go backwards, way back. So I went to my first rave, and I absolutely hated it. I hated my first show. I absolutely, it was at a roller rink in Denver, Colorado, and I just didn't get it, man. I didn't get it at all. I sat there with a little frown on my face, and I just didn't get it at all. Everybody else was, you know, love, joy, and roller skating, and falling all over the place, and, you know, I didn't get it. And, you know, going back to the reason why I'm bringing this up, said, you know, I grew up loving the oldies. My parents loved the oldies, classic rock. The 80s came. I'm super 80s fan. I mean, I just you know, had a really big appreciation for all kinds of music that people would not believe that I listened to. And so another reason why I'm bringing this up is, okay, so I hated my first party, and what really got me into this music, and then got me into, hey, you know, maybe I can dance to this, you know, as a little kid watching Michael Jackson, and, you know, just, that was everybody's hero. I don't care what anybody says. That
right, yeah, at that time, hell yeah. It's Billie Jean, oh, man, you know?
and so I, you know, I just had such admiration for him. We used to go to the skating rink, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and see all these amazing dancers break dancing on cardboard, and I just was inspired. And so going to my second or third party, I started figuring it out, you know, having some party favors, and you know, smoking weed and stuff like that. You know, I went to, you know, one party, and finally somebody had played a Aha remix, Take Me On, and it literally blew my mind. It transformed the way I looked at the music that I wasn't enjoying at my first shows. And then somebody else did the Hard Kiss version of ELO remix and Electric Light Orchestra. And those two moments right there is what really drew me into, like, man, I didn't realize what you could do with this music, and it brought me onto a level of understanding that what this music could do. And it was, and I'm going to take it even further, and this is very silly. This is incredibly goofy, okay? Like goofy.
This is what this interview is about, man. Let it all out, brother.
So you know, I didn't know what a DJ did. Nobody ever explained it to me. You know, I saw these records sitting up there and 2 turntables, and, you know, to be frank, I didn't really care necessarily. I knew there was a talented person up there creating these one-of-a-kind events with the music, but I honestly thought that they were taking records and that they were just taking sounds out of it and manipulating it somehow, kind of like a sampler, even though I didn't even know what a sampler was back then. But I literally thought that these talented DJs were just taking bits and pieces off of a record and making this music live. That's literally what I thought they were doing. And then when I found out that all this music was already pressed to a record, it kind of broke my heart a little bit, if you want to know the truth.
Oh, of course, because it's like your dreams were shattered. Like, yeah.
Going back to, you know, the Bee Gees and stuff like that. That's so funny you brought that up, but that's what it was about to me. Is I heard these remixes, and I heard this music in a different way, and it brought me into it. And so I thought again that they were mixing these together and remixing and taking samples out, and just I was ahead of my own time and never said anything to anybody. And so when I finally got into mixing, that was my forte now. Is I wanted to mix fast. I wanted to hear 2 records. I wanted to take all these bits and pieces and make them mash together. And it's funny how you brought that up, and it really means a lot. And, you know, a lot of my super older mixes I never handed out to people, and we'll get into that also, believe it or not.
You know what's funny? I used to do a radio show a long time ago, and I was doing it as a timestamp of like what was going on with techno. And remember, techno wasn't big at all and everything. But what was going on was this podcasting thing was just starting. It was like around 2000, 2001. People didn't even know that on the radio show, I was putting on how to do podcasts. You had to read instructions. And some people did it. Some people, they're like, what? Podcasting? Get out of here. But I was doing all these old shows. Like you said, you have all these old mixes. I've lost so many mixes, cassette tape mixes throughout the years. So when I started doing this show, it's more of like you hear the energy of what was going on and what we were going through. So I'm going to be, probably by the time that this podcast is out, I'm going to have some already putting online. I've been preparing them, but you should put those out yourself, man. It's more of like
here's the funniest part about it, okay? So I never wanted to be a DJ.
Right.
I had like super close friends. Once I got back to Colorado, I would make mixtapes, mainly for myself, to be honest. And I'd duplicate them and I'd hand them out to just a couple of friends and stuff. I never mass produced my mixes. I never ever just enough times. I was never happy with any of the mixes that I did, and I was borderline ashamed in some cases. I never walked around saying, "Oh man, I am the bee's knees of DJing." I am.
Yeah. I agree.
Ever. So I had a friend. I still have a friend. His name's Terry Hines, and he had a collection of these awful mixes that I did on
awful mixes.
He probably had 250 tapes.
What? Wow, that's crazy.
And I have none of them. I actually, you know what? I have one tape, and to be super honest, I'm glad I don't have any of those. But what was magical about me, trying to be a DJ is, I always, going back to the Bee Gees, and you really struck up the best chord of starting this, but I always had that element of either in the beginning or the end of having some just off the wall, or just not even well-known old school song, just to break the tension at the end, or to just emotionally mix out of that whole entire mix session with something like the Bee Gees or an Electric Light Orchestra, and to this day I still have that in me, and I'm just glad I never lost that. I love being able to remix just songs. I love hearing things play together, and I love hearing that we know just being remixed in real time, not on record, but two records singing together. I mean,
of course.
To this day, I still think mixing two records together is just the neatest thing in the world, and I will never lose that passion of hearing two records play together. That's just
no, that's amazing. And what's cool is, like, you were doing it since the cassette era. Now your style has evolved and gotten better. So I'm really happy, man. You submitted already a 7-hour mix for the listeners, and that's amazing. Thank you so much. Like, you're like a marathon DJ. You're like a marathon DJ. Like, yeah, you just keep going, and those are amazing sets. Now we're only gonna put up an hour.
I am cringing on that mix. I'm telling you.
No, brother. You see, even the old cassettes, you're like, awful sets. Dude, it's good, man. You're good, man.
Now you're digging into a different territory, because so just even going back to this, just to make it very clear, on very, 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 very shy on handing out mixes. I always have been. I've always been super careful. I've handed out some mixes to the friends and stuff back in the day and stuff, but even online, I maybe have, believe it or not, out of the thousands and thousands of shows, and we'll get into that with the Lost Art, and got into radio and stuff like that, but there's maybe 10 mixes that you can find online over 2 decades.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how shy I have been. And, the reason why I'm bringing this up also is, especially 10, 12 years ago, I've always tried to put out my own productional mixes. So if somebody like the Linda B Breakbeat show in the UK has asked me to do mixes, I've always tried to use our own production. I'm sure we'll get into the Lost Art and stuff like that, but I was...
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I've always been uber careful about copyrights. I've always been really cautious about, putting out somebody's music without me asking them. And, we both know that, 98% of these producers, they want you to put out their music. I mean, that's how they grow. That's how they spread. But, I just, with the Lost Art and just knowing what I know with the Lost Art and just how everything worked and stuff, I was even more especially careful about just putting out a whole bunch of mixes online. A lot of times, we're playing on turntables. I'm trying to mix faster than normal. I'm trying to put in these little sample pieces, and I'm trying to do, and so they're never perfect. I mean, just not even close to perfect. And it just always seems like everybody's on the edge of wanting somebody else to mess up because it makes them feel better. And so I never really.
I know. Why not support your DJ? That should be a T-shirt and
to be honest, I've always been
a
really
band. I mean, a business that should be out there giving out buttons. Support your DJ. That's it. It's hard enough that we're trying to do stuff off the fly, but yeah, that's all we do. We do it for the crowd. We do it for the.
And so that's what I started learning. We'll get into the history of radio and stuff like that. But once I got into the live video aspect, it really opened up a new age of acceptance to. I can see what they're doing, and that little mess up is just absolutely awesome because what they're really trying to accomplish with this. Listening to a mix, you don't get to really see that visual, and then it's just like, oh man, they there's that bobble, and they kind of suck a little bit, and it's like, if they really understood and saw what you were doing, and that's where live video just really opened up the floodgates for me to, just trying to do all of these cool mixes in real time. And again, like I said, it gave more acceptance onto, hey, that little bobble was still amazing. We saw what you were trying to do, and I never, and that was my big thing. Also was, I don't want you to listen to my mix. I want you to come see it. And so live video really revolutionized just the way we're able to see what the artists are actually really doing. It's like getting your 1990 VHS tape and watching the DMCs and saying,
"Oh, of course, yeah." So I want to segue into that right now. But before we segue into that, there's like something that I want the listeners to know and everything, that you hardly say this thing because you're humble. I know I've known you for so many years. You're like, nah, man. Look at you were saying these tapes are awful, but you got a world record. You're a world record holder for.
Well, let me go back to that. So
yeah. Tell the fan, what you did.
I'm gonna tell you guys a sad story about this. Okay. George.
No, that's what the music industry is, right? Ups and downs.
I didn't want to be the Debbie Downer of things, and if you want to jump into that world.
No, there's no Debbie Downer. It's the truth. Let's.
So okay. Going back to live video. I had been working on live video. Since 2003. Did you hear what I said? 2003.
2003. Wow, yeah.
So,
over 20 years. Over 20 years.
But now, when you hear the year, maybe a little bit sooner than that, it's just kind of rough. There wasn't live video. And so the listeners might be saying, well, what in the heck is this guy talking about? There wasn't, and the listeners that know, there wasn't live video. And so I, just to make sure that this is clear, and I love technology, but I think in some cases, fast forward to now, that technology has really hurt the industry in so many different ways. There's advantages and disadvantages to everything. Okay, so back in the early 2000s, I ended up losing a best friend. He was murdered, and I just had a lot of.
I'm sorry, brother.
Just problems going on.
Condolences.
I just had a lot of problems going on. I actually. Everybody has a manager. You remember those days where everybody wanted to be somebody's manager, and
of course, yeah,
they never did anything. And so I actually had a guy that was my manager. And, he really tried, and so he came back at me and said, I've got two different major companies, and I'm not going to say the names of the company for what I'm going to say here. But he came back and he said, 2 major companies are looking at you. I sent him some of your CDs. Now we go to CDs, and I cringe. I'm like, what do you mean you sent him some CDs? It's like, I sent him some of the CDs. And awful. Okay, let's go back to how I feel about awful. Awful, okay? And I blown away.
They probably weren't awful. They more likely weren't awful. But okay, go ahead. Yeah,
but this is crazy. So this is all going to go back into where we're going with the world.
Right.
So I was stunned. He comes over to my house with these 2 major contracts through 2 major labels, and he was like, "You can't have both. So why don't you pick one?" So I picked what I thought was, the bigger label, and it was, oh my God, 120 pages. Like, I'm talking, you need a college education to read through it for one. All the signatures.
The lawyer lingo.
Oh, God. So I go through this rigorous process, turn it back in, and a month later, they come back and they said, well, we had some of the other associates and managers listen to these CDs, and we don't think that you made them. We think that you are a computer-generated DJ. Back in the thousands, I didn't even have a computer. I didn't even know what, excuse my language, what the hell they were talking about. I was like, what a computer DJ? What the hell is a computer DJ? And I lost the contract. I literally lost the contract because they called me a computer DJ. And so I think that really broke my soul. I mean, it broke my soul. It broke everything.
Yeah, I remember that era. Someone that I was working with, he was saying that they were using computers to make these perfect mixes for global underground. It's like, yeah, we can't have these mixes that are going out into the world with train wrecking, So they set in and doing those kind of things. And if you listen to a lot of those old CDs around that time, you'll see everything is like perfectly matched. Everything changes at the phrase when it needs to. So I know why they were saying that. I was exposed to that later too, so I totally understand where you're coming from, not knowing about computer DJing.
Yeah, these mixes were not perfect in any retrospect, and so for them to come back and say, "Hey, you're a computerized DJ," I just don't even know what to say about it. But fast forward a little bit, crushed my soul. I kind of went into a destructive mode between me and you, between just all the little problems that I was having in life, and now I was rejected from a major label. I went into a boohoo mode and sat at my house, boohoo me, and this went on for quite a while, actually, and it was really self-destructive. I'm not gonna lie about it. And then around 2003, I had a friend come over and say, "Hey, we have an opportunity to do a live internet radio station online, going back to computers." And I told him no at first. I was too happy being in my boohoo mode. It was like, you have all these really cool records. People need to hear this. And I told him no for a couple months. And then one day, I was sitting on the computer because I had gotten a computer, okay? So I was sitting there ordering some records, and just out of nowhere, I was punched in my face. I punched myself in my face, literally sitting at a computer and then hearing the same thing over and over. You're a computerized DJ. And then sitting at that computer, I realized that these guys, I didn't know what they were talking about. And then sitting there, just out of nowhere, to hit me in my face like a ton of bricks. You're a computerized DJ. I said, I can't believe that I was ever even categorized into this. I can't believe that, I just couldn't believe it. And
right. So, if I could just put this in right now, maybe some listeners would be like, I don't get it. Why didn't you just look up online what that meant? There was no online at that time. I don't think there was Google. There was none of that. There was nowhere. You couldn't go into an encyclopedia because I don't even think DJs were encyclopedias yet,
back then, computers.
It was by word of mouth. Word of mouth.
Yeah,
That's how we found out a lot of stuff.
It wasn't even really that big of a thing. The internet was just becoming a thing. And
right, exactly. I think Yahoo was the biggest search engine at that point.
Yeah, I was confused on what they were talking about. And then, like I said, fast forward a couple years later, I have a computer, and I'm just like, it just crushed my soul even more. I'm like, and it made me angry. I was angry at the world now. I still might be a little angry at the world because of this, but this was the fuel to the fire of some of the accomplishments coming up and what I wanted to do with it. And so I went back to my friend that said, hey, let's do internet radio. And I said, I'll do this with you, but there's one stipulation. We're going to take a video camera and we're going to record every single week, every show that we do. We're going to take this little, actually not little, but big video camera. Because technology wasn't that small back then. And
it wasn't like one of those cameras that you put onto your computer. You're using one of like those big VHS recorders, right?
Yep. So we set up a tripod and we started videotaping from day one, and that was the start of your listeners might not understand it, but that was the start of live video. I started live video because of that factor. And so if I ever signed a contract or somebody said, hey, they're not really doing this, I actually now could have sent a videotape. And so that was how it all really started. And then I went on to internet radio. And oh my God, the first time we did it, I was absolutely terrified. I'm talking like shaking at the knees. And even today, believe it or not, I still get the same butterflies, and my knees still shake to this day when I go into a live show or I'm.
Of course, yeah.
I've never lost that feeling. I've never lost that feeling. But with internet now, I mean. And showing up every week, sometimes doing 2 or 3 shows a week on internet radio and online. I mean, this wasn't just a local thing now. It was a worldwide thing. And I didn't really know what we had, and I didn't really know how big of an impact this was making for me and making for the people around me and the DJs that were coming over playing with us. And I just never really realized it. For me, it was I'm spinning. I hate to say it out loud like this, but I was spinning, not necessarily with anger, but with purpose. If that makes sense.
Of course, you had to demonstrate your skills. I agree. Some places, some events, I remember you couldn't see the DJ because they were so high. You know what I mean? The stage was so high, so people would look up, and a lot of people liked to see what was going on, what the DJ was doing, and I totally agree with that. There should have been a time where people could see, like, oh wow, this is happening live and I'm experiencing it. But when they were placing the stages so far away from the crowd, nobody could see what's going on, and nobody had an idea to put a camera on there. So this was like a great exploration you started.
It was groundbreaking. I mean, it truly was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started getting recognized. We transferred over to, I think we were with Breaks FM was the first internet radio station that we started with. And then really soon we transferred over to newbreaks.com. I poured my heart into newbreaks.com. I mean, I think my longest set on New Breaks was over 23 hours, going back to your marathon mixes. And
yep, that's what I'm talking about.
We were training ourselves. So we started out with mandatory 4 hours, 2 hours per DJ. So we had a couple of DJs, so we'd do 6-hour sets between 3 to 4 DJs, and we were priming ourselves for marathon mixing, like literally. And so I get into New Breaks, just fast forward just a little bit, and just was nominated for Best Radio Show through a UK voting contest / award. Every year they would recognize the best breakbeat DJs and producers, and I was nominated several times, and out of nowhere I ended up winning the top 50 best breakbeat DJs through a UK site, which is kind of unheard of a little bit, and never want to be the Debbie Downer about the industry and stuff. Even prior to that, I tried one mixing contest. And in this mixing contest, it stated you can't be really well known, you can't have any background, and so this is where I'm going to get a little, not into the downer side of the industry, but this is where I started noticing just a couple flaws and what the industry was doing. So I put in this. It was a 30-minute mix, and I think I had like I can't even remember. It was an ungodly amount of tracks, just going back to mixing fast, trying to, do cool little overlays with original tracks, 80s songs. I mean, it was actually a really cool mix. For the first time, I was kind of proud of it. And, so I submitted this, and it ended up being, at the end of this, that a world famous DJ won the contest. And it came out that this, it was a girl, and she had already been on the Jimmy Kimmel show and all kinds of crazy stuff. And she went on afterwards to mock the contest, takes the rewards, and basically right there, I started noticing how the industry was somewhat corrupt a little bit. And so...
Well, she didn't need to mock the contest, because there must have been like tons of submissions, and they all put their heart and soul into it,
They did. She mocked the whole entire thing.
Wow.
A lot of the other contestants were like, she was on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and this wasn't what we thought we signed up for. And so right there I started realizing just how corrupt and rotten the industry could be. I mean, all hard-working DJs work their hearts out to, submit these cool mixes, and so, not a big deal. Okay, at the time, it wasn't that big of a deal. And then fast forward to Breaks Pull. I had obviously from 2003, I can't even remember the first time that I was nominated into Breaks Pull. I had started poking around with production. We'll get into that whole little thing just a little bit later. So nominated for, best DJ, best radio show, best, and then finally, out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting it, I won the top 50 best breakbeat DJs in the world with Breaks Pull. And
nice.
At first, God, I was on top of the moon. I mean, that launched me into a different stratosphere, not only with credibility, but, it just was a different level. And then it just started getting kind of weird. And the following year after that, there'd been a lot of other people, complaining about how the contest was going. And of course, it was out of the UK. And what they were doing was magnificent. Nobody was doing something like that. I mean, it really was an honor. So don't get me wrong on what I'm saying about this at all, okay? I don't want to discredit anybody technically that won Breaks Pull, but it started coming out that it was rigged also. And, it came to a point where a lot of producers and DJs were coming out saying that they paid for the top slots. The first 10 were actually paid. And just for a while, and I started becoming I don't know if you want to say a bad advocate or a good advocate of making this fair. And then I started noticing that, a lot of the real deal, American side especially, producers weren't in there. And a lot of the other fantastic, amazing DJs weren't in there. And it was kind of a crap show. And I hate to say it this way, and I'm going to say it this way, but sometimes bad publicity can be good publicity. And so I started doing my own investigating, talking with other people and stuff, and I became a big advocate for Breaks Pull to be an honest poll. And, I won the top 50. I didn't even know anything about any of this stuff. So there's a testament of, some of it was actually really legitimate. But it started getting into a point of, hey, we need people to vote. And you got to think when you start doing these voting contests with other big companies and stuff like that, what are they after? They're after emails. And so I had already opened up the Lost Art, and we're going to go backwards a little bit on that, but I hadn't already opened up the Lost Art, but I had, when I won it, didn't know, about the emails and stuff like that. And, fast forward, and we haven't even got to the Lost Art, but I'm going to fast forward to the Lost Art. So I opened up the Lost Art after I win the top 50, and I wanted to nothing more than I didn't even care about being in. I had already taken it. I had already gotten what I needed out of it. And so when I opened up the Lost Art, I wanted to give our site major credibility, and I wanted to give our DJs major credibility. And so once I opened up the Lost Art, I tried to get him in a lot of our DJs and stuff. And then that year, I mean, we were at the time the biggest thing possible. And, this isn't a bragging thing. And I'm going to go back to that too a little bit later. But I had over 800,000 emails collected with the Lost Art.
Right.
You want to talk about a voting contest and blowing people out of the water, and could I rig it? And I don't mean rig, but if I wanted to use 800,000, you don't think we should have won some of these categories? And so we didn't.
No, you were playing fair. You were trying to be honest, humble, and fair, and other people weren't.
I was upset. I was super upset. I mean, it was obvious. I was upset. Got in a huge fight with Breaks Poll, like huge, and let me tell you, huge, and going back to bad publicity could be good publicity. So huge that Breaks Poll went onto their website and made a mock of me and made a mock of this and DJ Natural Nate this and that, and we're talking about thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people reading this. And so I went into another stratosphere with seemingly bad publicity, and all they did was put my name out there even more. And so fast forward, we're not going to talk too much more about this, but just going back to just how I started figuring out that things just weren't what they seemed. At the end of it, again, tons of DJs, tons of producers came out saying that they paid for the top slots. I actually talked to, I'm not going to mention any names, I actually talked with one of the owners of it in basically a Zoom meeting, and he told me these things. And before it all really came crashing down, I told him, I said, look, man, let me get in some new artists and DJs, and you need to give these guys recognition, and let's try to make this fair, and blah, blah, blah. So I took a ton of time to getting just a lot of people that never in a million years would have had a chance getting in there. I submitted this gigantic list of producers and DJs, and that same year that I went through all this and, tried to give them a second chance and third chance, fourth chance, and poured my heart into them, they did the same thing the next year. Then they started mocking a bunch of the gigantic producers in America, and I had already been labeled, oh, he's the crazy one. Nate's crazy. Oh, he's got a bad
he likes to stir shit up. Yeah.
He's got a bad attitude about this. He's got, and that year that this happened, the very last year that they were open, guess what? I had producers after producers, DJs after producer or DJs saying, Nate, why aren't you helping us? And it was like, I had already tried to help you guys.
Yeah.
I had already put my name on the line. I had already gone.
Yeah. Where were you guys when I was out
Where were
there?
you guys when I was warning everybody about what was going on and trying to be honest about this? And I was contacted over and over, and ultimately they ended up closing their doors because the sham was over now, basically. And so, not saying that I was right. Being on that firing line and staying true and staying honest and fighting for the right of the cause, I think that put me into another different category. That, okay, he was right, actually, and I didn't even want to be right. I mean, I wish to God it never really happened. If you want to know the truth, I wish there was honest voting systems, and I wish there were. And what's sad about it, what truly is sad about it, there's nothing else like there out there in the world trying to give recognition to artists and DJs. And there's been little things that opened up after that, but you know what? It was kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? So favorites are favorites.
Yeah.
And so that kind of broke my heart a little bit. But I did stand up for the right of not just breakbeat industry and not just in all industries. Where's the honesty? Where's the integrity? And so, going back to that, okay, I brought, and this is all leading up to the world record.
Okay.
Long conversation. So going back to New Breaks, we're with New Breaks. and Ustream had came out. And
I remember Ustream, of course. That was the new era of live video streaming. Yeah.
So believe it or not, I was not solely the inventor of live video DJ streaming completely, and I'll explain this. I was spinning on New Breaks, and somebody came into the chat, and it was like 4 a.m. They just like in the morning, and they came in. They were like, "Hey, why is nobody using live video? Why is nobody using all this cool technology?" And of course, with me videotaping my shows, I mean, I thought I was literally tripping. I thought I was like, what? And what? Wait, what? So I pulled the guy aside, and he was like, "Yeah, man, they got all these new platforms and different stuff like that." And he showed me Ustream, and I was like, "Oh my God, what in God's name is going on?" I've been videotaping, and so I started working with Ustream a little bit, and I brought it to New Breaks, and New Breaks adopted it. Not at first. They were very hesitant and didn't want anything to do with it. And so, going back to the world record, they finally implicated Ustream. And of course, our show was the very first show in the world to not only bring live video to internet, but to a radio station. So New Breaks was the very first radio station to ever try to use live video as a way of breaking the boundary of, not listening to it, but looking at it. So once they implicated it, I knew I was pretty fast at mixing. I was somewhat accurate and and I just felt bad for the turntables. I was always trying to figure out ways to, keeping DJs into wanting to mix on turntables. And my grandfather, when I was a little kid, I used to look at World Guinness record books, and I was just mesmerized. I came to a point where I was able to catch like X amount of coins off my elbows, trying to mimic all these amazing people that were doing these things in these books. And it just dawned on me one day. I was like, man, you can mix. I wonder if there's a way to like set a world record for mixing, like a mixing DJ. How fast can a DJ mix that's creditable, and how do we do this? And so I made a video. I made a video, and I sent it to Guinness World Record, and they basically told me no. They basically told me that I was going to get sued for copyrights because of the music. There was no real way to determine, even though I had like the whole plan laid out. You have XXXX. You have to stay, because when you're using turntables, it's not completely synced. You're going to stray off, or you're going to stray below that. So for example, 133 BPMs. If you went past, let's just say 135, because it's just that stray. You can't help that. There's going to be that little stray.
No. You always got to ride the pitch. Totally.
So either if you go past like 135, you're disqualified. If you go under that as far as you want, who cares? Because you're not even on the BPM anymore. So I had all these little guidelines and really made this really legit, man. I really did. You couldn't train wreck. If you train wrecked a little bit, that didn't count as a mix.
Okay.
So I set all these guidelines. I sent it to Guinness World Records, and the first thing they asked me was, how much money do you have? That was the very first thing they asked me. How much?
Okay, I'm curious on why they asked you that, but go ahead.
Because that's how they make their money, is you have to have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to set a world record, generally. You have to hire their people to come out. You have to hire their people to fly out. And if you don't have money, if you don't have money, you're not going to set a world record with them. That's how is how that works. I mean, that's the bottom line. I was, again, I keep telling you about all these hardships, and we'll lead back into all that stuff, but I was crushed again. I was crushed. My grandfather had died. I wanted to just make my family proud and just do something different. And, it wasn't really about me winning a world record or anything. It was just doing something different and, just making my grandfather proud. And still crushed my spirit, man. Again, just totally crushed. I mean, the industry has crushed me so many times. It's not been funny, but
no, it's an uphill battle, that's for sure. But I think that the people that really love it, it's their passion. A lot of people don't know. I might have even told you once, but I lost almost all my equipment. Actually, all my equipment.
Oh, I do remember you telling me that.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then there was a point where I didn't know what I was gonna do, and then somehow it kept calling me back, and then I started again, and somehow I was able to get some of the stuff back, especially the records. I mean, a lot of the records were missing, gone, or whatever, but I did get a large portion. But you just start again because that's what you love. And
fast story, I lost all my equipment also. I was
oh wow.
I was working on my keyboard one night. It was raining, and I got struck by lightning on my keyboard, and it blew all of my turntables up, my computer, keyboard, everything. I lost.
So, wait. You got hit by the lightning bolt too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was on.
Wow. So maybe you hold the world record of the only DJ to get struck by lightning.
I was on my keyboard, and
wow,
hit
that's crazy.
Outside, and it surged through my keyboard.
Well, I'm glad you survived, bro.
Well, it blew me backwards. My dogs.
Wow, that's crazy.
Motion. My dogs were floating in the air.
No, that's crazy. I never heard this story. That's amazing.
Luckily, I had renter's insurance, and they paid for my equipment. But
okay,
I lost all my equipment too. But going back to the world record.
Right. Yeah.
So I was rejected by Guinness. And so a couple months later, my mom ironically came back to me, and she was like, have you heard of world record setters? And I said, well, what the heck is that? And she was like, this is more of the American version of Guinness. And, it's a new company, and they seem pretty cool and stuff. And so I took my video and I sent it to world record setters, and they immediately wrote me back, and they're like, holy cow, can you do this again? You've sent us the guidelines, you've sent us, and I told them that was not a world record because I went over 135 BPMs trying to hit 133, and they said, well, can you do this live again? And then going back to the benefit of live video, and New Breaks had put the live video on their site. I was able to redo the world record live on New Breaks in front of countless people. I ended up having pneumonia that night, and because I had already set the world record, I was not only terrified, but I was sick and B. But so Guinness came back, and they're like, oh, we're worried about the copyrights and blah, blah, blah. And I was going to do this on real vinyl. And let me go back to all this. And the problem was I couldn't get all the copyrights. I couldn't find all the guys to do the copyrights. And so Serato had came out, and I needed some backing. So I actually went to Serato and told them what was going on, and Serato actually gave me the backing and gave me the sponsorship. But they said, can you use Serato to show that it's just like spinning records and blah, blah. We'll sponsor you if you use Serato. So I got a sponsorship through Serato, actually, to do the world record. Was sick as day that night, and
a lot riding on that night too.
God, man, my voice is all crackling. I was trying to talk into the mic and stuff. My voice is just crackling, not only from fear, but just trying not to
sick.
Not trying to cough into the mic, and so the stage was set, man. It was there was people in there waiting, and so I do the world record through at the time world record database URDB, and I do this live. I do the tally at the end. It was 86 mixes in an hour at 133 BPMs with a little bit of sway. So I submitted it to them, and they accredited it for the world record. So I set the world record through world record setters, and
that's great, man.
But going back to Debbie Downer. Okay?
Go ahead.
Debbie, this really hurts, man. So through that year, I ended up being like the 9th or 8th best world record of the year. And so I get an email, and they told me that I was cut from the world record book. Yep, I was cut from the world record.
Why? What reason they gave you?
Because they said that nobody would know what BPM means.
Oh God! And nowadays, I feel like everybody would know, and your name would be living in there as a legend. You know.
I wrote world record setters. I said, just take my world record down. I don't really want to be a part of your stuff. And the owner of one of the owners of World Record Setters actually called me, and we just had this just heartfelt talk, and he was like, the book's already in there, and he apologized greatly, and I just wanted to be in the book for my grandfather. It wasn't,
of course,
being in the book because, oh man, I'm the baddest dude on the planet, and it wasn't even remotely like that. I didn't even care about that fast. It was more of a just trying to make my deceased grandfather proud, and of course my family, and just to do something new with turntables, and just to think outside of the box, guys, and that opened up a lot of different categories for other world records actually that had been done. So I guess I'm proud a little bit, but it just seemed like I just could not catch a break, man. It just everything that was seemingly good seemingly just always turns bad. And I think this is a testament to what you were saying. I mean, do we just give up? Do we just boo-hoo us? And
many people do, man. Many people do, man.
And I didn't. You know what?
I honestly, between you and me, because like I said, I have my ups and downs as well. Not having equipment, it gives you a perspective, like, yo, dude, maybe music isn't for me. Maybe God is like, dude, I don't know how else to show you.
Well, I got my
time to move on. But I feel like that's the Marines in us, man. We don't give up. We're like, nah, man. Let's keep going. I feel like that helped me a lot in life.
Listeners didn't even know that. Well, I guess we did mention that. We were in the Marines together, but Marines again. Yeah. I mean, that's.
I think that's in you too, man. That's why I don't think you give up either.
Oh, obviously, but I got my certificate. I got my shirt. I got my.
Okay, they give you a shirt. That's cool. Here's your shirt, brother.
I finally, and I was so disappointed in it that I had that shirt in a box for like a decade, and had the certificate, and then we ended up buying a house and stuff, and then one day I ran across it, and I said to myself, man, even though it didn't, it's kind of a sad story and stuff, and how that broke down. But at the same time, I finally framed the shirt, and I finally framed the certificate, and just every time I walk downstairs, I'm able to just say, you did something that nobody else did, or started, and so that was pretty important to me.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now, really quick. But you said we bought a house. This is your wife, Jenna, right? Which is your producing partner, Jenna Gigabot. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to, shouts to Jenna if you're around. Hey, she's mad cool too. We met. I just wanted to make sure, the viewers know that that's who Jenna Gigabot is. When you hear Nate's productions, they do it together. Amazing stuff. All amazing stuff. I know. And that's your voice too, right? When you sing, and I hear a guy's voice and everything. That's you, and that's her.
We'll go into that here in a minute. Skipping forward or backwards. Okay. Getting into the lost art. That way we don't, because we were already doing production and stuff, and
right.
We'll get into that topic just without jumping. Let's finish. Just where.
Yeah. Let's go through the timeline. Totally.
Okay, and so eventually, New Breaks. I kept asking them, why are other DJs not doing this? This is like the new bread and butter. This is like one of the biggest things to ever happen, and. New Breaks came back to me and said, everybody hates you, Nate. Everybody. I said, well, I'm used to that. I mean, what's
what else is new?
I mean, okay. So, what did I do this time? Go ahead and just tell me what I do this time. And
whoever knows you, everybody loves you, man, because you're warm and humble. You know what I mean?
I know. But
if people don't know you, they don't know. They just assume, and you got to go along with it. What can you do? You can't make everybody happy.
Grim Creeper knocks on my door again, and
All right.
music industry, of course. And then I was told that I was hated for bringing live video to the world, and I was like,
What?
Why in the world would I be hated for this now? I mean, go ahead and tell me. And he was like, well, nobody wants to do live video because, okay, here's the kicker. You ready? You sure? Okay.
Yeah, go.
So live video opened up the doors to proving that DJs are fake using their computers.
I love it. I love it. Of course. Now, like, you can't hide behind a no screen. You got to be out there. Shows your skills. What's wrong? Show your skills.
A lot of the DJs on the site at the time were computer DJs. They were not DJs at all, and they were making mixes with a computer, and they didn't want to be exposed. And by opening up live,
what we're talking about with computers too is like they get the next song ready, they match it, but you know they edit as they match. They go, like that.
No, it even goes even further. They pre-planned the whole entire thing.
Right. Pre-plan makes it.
It's not even mixing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I was hated now by the world because I was exposing fake DJs, even though I was called a fake computer DJ starting out.
Wow.
So ironic how that ties in together. And so that's when I knew right there that, I had a whole bunch of other ideas. I thought about taking, well, if we only have 3 DJs on this site, why don't we see if the other sites have a couple DJs and we make a hub out of this? Why don't we make a hub? And it just wasn't it was just too much work. And finally I realized that I was gonna have to open up my own website and to find DJs that were willing to do live video. And I opened up our website with Ustream video on it. Finally I just said, you know what, I'm gonna try this myself. I can't do any worse than anybody else. And so I opened up the Lost Art. But the way the name came is I had already felt so bad for the break dancers, and then after the whole rave act and everything like that, I had come up with a possible shirt idea and maybe just another website called Breakers of the Lost Art. And so,
now, real quick, and like for the listeners, can you explain what the rave act is?
So the rave act was, basically.
It was a law.
I'm not going to say who created it. I'm not going to.
No. no need. But basically,
no politics involved. No politics involved. But
But basically, because some people don't even know. Like nowadays, that there's a rave act.
Wait. I'm glad you're asking me this because some people might be interested in what I have to say about the rave act.
Go ahead, man.
The rave act was basically what it states, rave act. And so, these were underground parties, even starting as late as the 80s, going into the 90s. And then, with more and more attraction to it, these were illegal raves. People were breaking into warehouses, going out, getting thousands of people obviously together to listen to music and illegal activity.
Just listen to music too. There were I don't remember fights breaking out. That's what I love about the music. There was no fights.
I mean,
you would have people that like are different, and then you would find friends for life. That's how we met. Look at that.
It goes back to the outcasts of society, the ones that didn't feel like they fit in, and going back to all
one
that
of them.
Peace and love, and we'll go back to that also. But so what ultimately happened is a lot of kids were dying. Some of these weren't really professional, obviously, if you're breaking into warehouses and stuff, and I get it. But the Rave Act came, and I'm going to give you my perspective on the Rave Act. So it came to the bottom line that the government got pissed. You know why the government got pissed? It wasn't because of even the drugs. It wasn't even because I'm going to tell you just directly what I think the Rave Act really was. The government wasn't doing what? They weren't making money.
I was about to say they weren't getting paid.
That's what the Rave Act really was.
Paid. Exactly.
That's literally what the Rave Act was.
All this money was happening, but where are the taxes from that?
That is exactly what the Rave Act was. I mean, of course, they're trying to make things safer, and I'm not going to discredit a little bit of the stuff.
Right. There were pros and cons of it, of course.
The Rave Act basically canceled illegal raves. The Rave Act promoters that were throwing these raves breaks were actually thrown in jail. They were getting their property seized over it.
Right, I remember.
And so basically the Rave Act, what they did is they basically pushed this scene into a club setting. And so with the club settings, you heard what I said. I felt bad for the break dancers. And this is why I said Breakers of the Lost Art. It's because once the Rave Act happened and we pushed it to the clubs basically didn't have either one, the room for the break dancers, or two, they didn't want the break dancers taken away from their bar sales. And so this is the revolution of how everything started to be so commercialized. Now you're in a commercialized setting. We need more commercialized music versus the underground music. And the Rave Act basically changed the whole evolution of what we see today.
Yep. But you see, sometimes out of something negative, something positive comes out. The Breakers started doing their own shows. You know, the Breakers started doing their own events and stuff like that. And look, they were in the last Olympics. So you know what, the Rave Act, you know, maybe they were trying to like do something about it, but it kind of formed into another realm that like the Breakers now have their own community and they're doing their own big thing. Enough that they're in the. Well, actually, there was a DJ too at the Olympics too. So, but you get what I'm saying. But now they're competing, which is amazing.
But it is pretty sad that you have your breakbeat DJs that spin for dancers that really aren't allowed to be there anymore. So that's a
right. No, of course.
Catch hard 22 there. And for me, you know, I was a dancer, and that's kind of why I got into DJing and doing more breakbeat, is to give these type of amazing talents and people that want to show their arts off in public, just like a DJ wants to show their art off in public, were basically banned from clubs. It's very, very rare that you will see a breakdance circle anywhere now. And that's fine that they have their outside communities and stuff like that, but these people deserve a spotlight anywhere. You know, and that's kind of how I feel about it. But
no, it's understandable.
That's how I came up with the name, The Lost Art, is I needed a name for the new website. And so instead of me Breakers of the Lost Art, I said, well, what's the name of our website? The Lost Art. And it dawned on me by saying The Lost Art that this covered not only DJing, you know, just manually, you know, just trying to adhere to, you know, just the tradition of a DJ, but also graffiti to arts to you name it, anything that was being lost, The Lost Art had it covered a little bit. And so it was a perfect name for a website. Right. And, you know, just trying to uphold, you know, tradition and, you know, don't forget where this all came from, basically. And so The Lost Art was invented. I eventually ended up hiring a couple of techs to do the custom live video, and that's what really set it off, was the custom live video. Now we weren't using a brand, and no offense in saying it like this, I'm gonna say it like this, but the thing that was really bothersome with Ustream were the commercials. I mean, just of course, out of nowhere, you know, they could have feminine products just pop up out of nowhere, or they could have a beer commercial, or, you know, it's just like they kind of ruined the vibe of the live video a little bit. So I went high and low to find the right people to create the custom live video. And during that process, going back to the Grim Reaper, we actually had somebody take our technology and steal it for another website. And so I had to actually go backwards again to go forwards. We got the live video right, actually, and it just blew up, man. It just unbelievable. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what was going on. I had a vision. Website I wanted, and one day a guy came to one of our managers at the time, and he said, "Do you guys even know what the hell you're doing? Do you know what you have?" And he told us that we were getting close to, or if not 16 million hits to the website a month.
Oh, wow.
And at first I was like, holy Neptunes. I mean, what?
I remember when you got the first million. Yeah.
Well,
I was there.
And then we
were like, yeah, we just got the first million. I remember.
Well, yeah, going back to that here in a second. So at first I was like, wow, what the? And then all of a sudden it turned into, how in the hell do they know that? And so that was the start of me saying, well, how in the hell can somebody go to my website or our website and tell us what our stats are? And so I got really meticulous into stats, into figuring out who's doing better, who's doing what, who's this. And yeah, you hit it on the head too, though. It was so out of control. We were getting kicked off of servers just about every month. These servers would be like, hey, we'll give you a $400 deal for a month if you come with us. And the amount of traffic was smashing and burning up these servers. And there was points where we were getting $3,500, $2,500, $4,000 bills a month to run the server. And that's when I knew I was in trouble, man. I was in serious trouble. I'm just a regular guy. Came up with this idea. I wasn't a lawyer. I wasn't a business plan writer. I wasn't anything but somewhat a little marketing genius. And that was one thing that I was really good at, is marketing. And when I opened up the Lost Art, it was solely for the art, and it was solely to, give great talent a different reason to stay into this. And you are recognized and you are appreciated, where technology was starting to squeeze out and just talent, and it just broke my heart. And then producers that weren't being heard, that broke my heart even more. How do we get these producers to be heard more? So I just started taking on the world, like Atlas here, and I just had the whole world on my back. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was really good at marketing again, and going back to breaks pole and world records and stuff like that. I wanted to really, from the bottom of my soul and heart, open up a way to give others a true opportunity of doing what I was doing. And I knew how to use Google to my advantage a little bit. I knew how to basically market onto Facebook, and how to run my SoundCloud page better, and so I took it as a really big mission of, can I do this for others? Can I make another person a top 50 best breakbeat DJ? Can I make somebody a better marketing manager? And so I, just became this gigantic project of, can we do this? Can I do this? Can we? And then I learned pretty quickly that, having the amount of DJs, there was pretty close that we had over 100 DJs at one time on the website, and it just became it became a lot, chasing.
Right, especially for one person, it's
chasing people down, making sure they weren't smoking weed on the camera.
Right. No beers and stuff like that. And everything. Yeah, because we don't know. You might have like a 15-year-old, 14-year-old watching. Yeah.
So we had CNN coming in. We had some of the biggest entities possible coming into this website, trying to figure out what the hell we were doing. And on the global ranking, global, out of millions of websites made, we were in the low 200s of the best websites out there. And that's, wow. It was so crazy that, I had people, pulling me off to the side saying, man, you are literally a household name across the world. And I didn't really know how to take that. I really didn't know exactly what we had. And when I realized what we had, I was in trouble, man. I'm not gonna lie. My soul sank to my stomach. The server bills were crazy. We were getting again kicked off all these servers.
Now, and it's funny because before you had all these things going against you, and now things are working out, but they're also now creating a different type of problem.
Oh man, my biggest regret into all of this, and it's not even a regret because I was smart enough to think about it, but I actually called to figure out how to buy the patent to being the first streaming site using live video, the whole 9 yards. And, I was already just scraping by, just trying to figure out how the hell to keep the servers going, how to pay the web techs, how to I mean, this was a full-blown like project that I just, I knew it was going to be custom, and I knew, but again, I wasn't a business writer, business plan writer. I wasn't a lawyer. I knew what I was doing in other regards, but I ended up calling LegalZoom one day, and I said, how can I buy the patent? We have $1 million idea, blah, blah, blah. And the lady was like, yeah, just starting out, just even file to start, not even to patent. We're going to ask you for $50,000.
Yeah.
I said, well, who in the heck has, $50,000 just laying around? She's like, well, if you have $1 million idea, why are you even asking me this? And basically, like, literally, she like literally slapped me in my face, and that's when I knew, God, man, we need help. I've got to figure out how we can do this. And in retrospect to the Lost Art, I wanted it to be the first website to potentially figure out how to pay the DJs. I wanted to figure out a way that we could pay some of the artists. And then for me, I didn't even really care about getting paid at all myself. I just wanted to be able to keep the project going. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I appreciated them. It even came to a point where I wanted to figure out how we could like get a healthcare benefit for the DJs at least. I mean, I was like in a million different directions and miles of trying to figure out. And I just want to highlight this real quick that the Lost Art, it didn't say the Lost Turntables. So, of course, turntables being the backbone of the Lost Art, it's kind of hard to completely fake being a turntable artist. I mean, you can clearly see if somebody is. So that was kind of the backbone of what we were. But, we had DJs, and a lot of people don't know this, that, two of our best shows were actually controller DJs. So I want to start into this real quick before we start getting into, just a few aspects of, hey, the Lost Art hates technology and hates this and does that. And I'm going to explain this very clearly. That, so I had a guy tell me that his home burned down. He was from Romania. His name was Extinct, and he came to me for a year, begged me to come onto the Lost Art with his controller. And I told him, I was like, we have a tough crowd, and I don't want that to go. I don't want nothing to happen to you. I don't want to be blamed, because I'm always blamed for everything anyways. But so eventually I said, you know what? Okay, dude, fine. Here's the keys. You do it. And he went on to the Lost Art with his controller. He put his camera right over the top of the controller. Not one of our members said a word. As a matter of fact, they praised him. And two of our best shows were controller DJs. And I just want to make sure that we start out really clear that the Lost Art never hated technology. We don't hate technology. And for me, stat. I actually went to Rain again because they had sponsored me for the world record, and I knew Dean at the time a little bit, and I told Dean what was going on, and he was all about it. We got the sponsorship. And about a couple of days later, he writes me back. He's like, yeah, to invest like serious money with you guys. And this is how it went for me. Okay. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. We needed money. And I was going to start offering, because that's why I got good at stats, is I was able to send stats to Rain and showing them these insane numbers. And my whole goal was I didn't know to go after one big player, okay? And so my goal was to go after hundreds. And hey, do you want a spot on our website? $500, $900, and get 100 of these to pay the bills. And so Rain comes back and they're like, hey, where's your business plan? So we tried to write a business plan, and we just failed unbelievably miserably. It failed. We just, even with professional business writers, Rain came back and was like, we don't want nothing ever to do with you again. You guys are unprofessional. And I went back to Dean and poured my heart out to him. I was like, Dean, I'm not a business plan writer. None of us are. We're not, this is just a project that we didn't know what it was going to do. And I've been leaning on you to help me and tell me how you guys can help us and how we all can make some money together and just keep the website going and promote Rain products and Serato and this and that. And I was heavily slapped in my face, like heavily. And then I knew I was even in more trouble, like extreme trouble. I mean, I had DJs' careers on the line, potentially. I had 100 DJs on the website. I had web text to pay. And so it was tough, man. It was tough. And then we ended up losing one of our managers in a fatal way, is the way I would just say that. And it just broke everybody's heart. Then I started realizing just that the Lost Art was people's lives, like truly. It wasn't just a website. It wasn't just, hey, I'm a DJ. I'm on the Lost Art. I mean, it became a heavy pride thing for those that were accepted to this project. And then I started realizing that some of our DJs were actually living on the streets. And the only thing literally keeping them alive was their 2-hour slot coming to the website. And
wow, that was their outlet. Wow.
And that was their outlet. And then after that show from a friend's house, they would go back on the streets, living on the streets in horrible conditions. And then that just literally, like, really broke my heart, like, sincerely.
Of course, man. You feel helpless, man. You want to help out talented people, but the world just keeps knocking them down.
So the Lost Art trampled everything. I was contacted daily by groups and Facebook pages, and can you please tell your guys to stop posting about the Lost Art?
That's
flooded.
Hey, that's hilarious.
Flooded. So, I mean, it was bad. It was good bad. I would tell, and I would, have to tell, group moderators and stuff, I'm sorry, but these guys are just doing their job. These guys love what they're doing, or showing everybody how to do this. And I'm not going to reprimand our group for doing just an amazing job. We taught these guys how to run the better sound clouds. We taught them how to be better DJs. And the one thing that kind of also breaks my heart is you can't teach somebody how to be humble. You just you just can't. You can't.
No, that's within them. That's in their heart. Yeah.
You can't teach somebody to be honest. You can't be. And that was a stipulation of the Lost Art. Is you really do have to be humble about this. We're not here. We don't want you to have that superstar. We want you to be humble and not smoke weed on camera. And we got little kids watching this. We potentially have Walt Disney coming in, checking this out. We have just so much riding on this. I mean, again, I had the world on my shoulders, and just trying to keep everything perfect and to perfection was impossible. I mean, for trying to be the good guy, I was always the bad guy. And especially with the project, trying to get potential people to come in and pay into it, and advertisements. And, I was an iron fist. I literally was. And technically, I'm super proud of that. I just was not only trying to better other people's lives, DJs' careers and things like that, but I was an iron fist. You had to be. And so it got so bad that we were, needing money for the servers and, paying for the project and stuff like that. I had, I'm not going to say any names on this, but I had a really close friend come into this project, and it just, it's a very long story into a short story. He ended up being the nice guy, always wanting to party with everybody, and he was the owner side of the company that, oh man, he's the cool dude, and Nate's kind of the bad guy. And it came to a point where we did get a gigantic contract. We actually were offered to sell the website for $1.5 million. And because we had people die during the project, and because we had people living on the streets and different things like that, I just felt like I was going to be the biggest sellout in the world, not only just to the world, but especially to myself. So we rejected the $1.5 million. That company came back and said, well, we'll give you a $500,000 marketing contract. We think we can get your shirts into JCPenney's, Walmart's, you name it. We think you can do $100 million in 3 years. And so we signed this contract, and we thought everything was good. And I was asked, well, if you make this type of money, what would you do with the money? And, I thought they were asking me what I would do with my portion of the money. And I told them I would give most of it to charity. I would give, I would try to help as many people as I can. I had never wanted to be a millionaire off of this. I never really wanted anything like that. We'd need the money, obviously, to pay our bills and to do other cool things and pay the DJs and healthcare and, just all these glamorous big ideas. And unfortunately, that was mistaken in the wrong way. They thought I said that I was going to give just about all the money to charity, and some of my business partners at the time ended up breaking into GoDaddy and stole the website, actually.
Oh, wow.
It took me a couple months. I got the website back, and then a couple months after that, I had somebody walk up to me while I was mowing my grass, and I was served a lawsuit by these people stating that they were the owners of thelostart.com. And I ended up having to get legalities out of Louisiana, had to pay all this stuff out of my pocket to fight for my own company. This drug, long story again short, this drug on for 6 years, and by that time, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, all of these other companies started adapting live video, and because I didn't have a patent, I couldn't protect any of it, and I basically lost the whole entire company over this. And for legalities, I always kept the Lost Art open. The Lost Art is still open to this day. I still have tons of DJs asking me if they can play. I just tell them the realistic aspect of this. And
you look at the roster that the DJs played, they're still with you from the beginning, if you remember, I did a show on there. I was doing on the show, and it's actually this show, this exact show.
You were my biggest accomplishment.
Oh man, when
the student was able to give back to the master and the teacher. And
brother, it helped a lot, because I told you again, I had lost like so much stuff. And man, I started getting it back. Honestly, it was like my wife, she saw it. She started seeing that, like, yeah, man, I see that, you're missing something. And then she said, just start up again, start small. And I brought my laptop, our first laptop, and went back in it. And then we got in touch again. And then you told me, and I started doing a show on there. But it reminded me of the show that I was doing before. It's called Tonic Soul, which I'm gonna put a post up on the website about it another time, but I'm not gonna get into that now. So when I started doing it, I was like, yeah, this reminds me of that. But I kind of did that. I kind of did like another thing showing major artists, like the interviews and getting other people that people don't know. I was going to a lot of parties and finding out people, and I'm like, yo, every time I hear somebody cool, I'm like, yo, where you got your stuff? SoundCloud and stuff like that. But that's what we started doing interviews on your show. We used to do it live at a certain time. I think I can remember.
Literally one of my most valuable shows too.
Dude, no, it was great, and that you got me started back doing all of this and everything, and I always want to thank you for that. So, and I love that you still got, because I remember when we were starting, you had all these other guys. I remember Gino, and he's still there, right?
Yeah, me and Gino are still I'm still super close, and if we really needed to call the army, they would all be here.
Yeah, all the same guys from before, they're still around. That's amazing.
Yeah, the website's still open.
Right.
Stood up for legalities. I ended up winning, obviously. I mean, it was a no-brainer. I ended up winning the lawsuit, but it just destroyed the whole aspect of being custom and first, and so the website's still up. And
Right.
what's funnier about all of this is the simple fact that the Lost Art's even bigger than ever. I mean,
Right.
having DJs, and people ask me, well, why don't you rev it up again like that? And I always tell somebody that I would rather be the head coach of a 5th grade cheerleading squad at this point. Chasing down a bunch of DJs is not really in my best interest right now, but
Well, you've been there, done that. I know. What's the next thing? You know, I totally understand.
well, here's something ironic. A couple days ago, and nobody knows this, so this is to your podcast only.
Oh shit! Thank you. Exclusive.
I had a really good friend from back in the day. They do marketing and web design and a whole bunch of stuff for a living, and I didn't realize how big he was. But he moved back to Singapore, and he ended up calling me, telling me that he's got all of this gigantic, cool new ideas and softwares and all of this stuff. And we actually talked about maybe doing a major upgrade to the Lost Art and possibly ramping this up again.
Wow, that's amazing, mate. That's such amazing news, man.
But the Lost Art never went away. I mean,
No. You got a foothold in the industry. Nobody could ever take that away from you.
Well, and here's something funny, and I'm going to bring this topic up real quick. So, leading back to stats and how important stats were, and going to these big companies and proving this, and something I'm proud of, but not proud of at the same time. But I'm going to just tell you that, just a trick. So, everybody's like, oh, Nate and the Lost Art, they hate technology. They're always talking crap about sync buttons and controllers, and they're always putting just that type of craziness out into the world. And they're 100% right. Do you know why? Because when I needed stats, all I had to do was put a cuss word and screw a sync button, screw a controller, and we would have thousands, if not millions, of people come back to the website to see what we were talking about. And so I was able to use, just like the media does now, hey, I hate this politician. Hey, I hate this beer. Hey, I hate... And if you put something nice out there, unfortunately, the world hasn't really gone to the fact of we want to see nice things. What are newspapers? What are magazines? What's on the news? It's just always something bad. And so again, if I put out a meme saying learn how to DJ the right way without a sync button, there would be 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 likes, a million comments, and major people coming to the website just by pushing somebody's button. And so, not saying I'm super proud about it, but hey, take advantage of what is going on around you. And I had also said bad publicity can be good publicity. Now, if you take something that's seemingly bad and you can create a great message into it at the end, that's even more powerful. So I became a master at marketing in a different way. And like I said, as long as there's a good message at the end of it, I think it's acceptable. But if you're just really abusing this for, the wrong reasons, social media and news outlets, and it can be an incredibly great thing, but obviously we both know, just looking at the world now, it can be a really devastating thing also at the same time. So had to be.
I know. I feel like you and me. I mean, I want to be the same way. We're trying to put something positive into the world. Just remember, there's a lot of positivity because there's so much bad things out there.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. So don't get me wrong at all. The positivity is where everybody's after. But just in those times of trying to keep 16 million people coming to a website, just again putting out, hey, I hate a sync button. It's just as easy to get another million people to go to the website and see what we're talking about. And so just putting the disclaimer out there. I already said 2 of our best shows were controller DJs, and I love Serato. I set the world record with Serato, and so technology. Technology I love, but technology hates me in some ways. So that's pretty funny.
I mean, time will tell. Time will tell where we're at, and and what's going on with the Lost Art. By the way, the website, in case you're wondering, is the-lost-art.com. If people are listening to this and they're like going straight to Lost Art, it's something else. You have to put in the dashes just so everybody to know. And then you'll see, what can they see when they go there? Like a bunch of like mixes from before and live show?
After the lawsuit and stuff, I did have it professionally done again. We do have live video capabilities. The website's sitting there, but it's just more of a legality thing than anything. Again, we haven't really updated it in a long time. It's still a beautiful website, don't get me wrong, but there is blogs. There still is some old school blogs on there and stuff like that. I mean, it is a beautiful website still, but haven't really pushed into revolutionizing the world again necessarily through it. So.
Well, how you're revolutionizing the world now is through your productions, which are amazing, by the way. Like I said, you and Jenna coming through, you're putting stuff out through the Lost Art label as well as other places.
Oh God, I cringe about the production side of this also.
Oh man, but your tracks get like they go in the top hundreds, top tens. You're good, man.
What's crazy is just simple structure, simple production. Just try to make them extremely DJ friendly. My first production I ever did, truly, I did 23 songs, and I tried to truly make a story. And this release was incredibly illegal. I'm talking the most illegal production that you could have ever done in the history of productions. I stripped down, I don't know if you remember the movie from the 80s, Legend, with Tom Cruise. And
of course, yeah. Great movie.
So came up with this really crazy idea to like make multiple songs, and if you were going to sell music, you have to buy like all 5 songs to create the whole entire story. So I was like jumping into like crazy ideas of how to do music differently, and so I made this release, Stevie Nicks in it, and this is like 2009, 2008, and I'm talking Transformers to He-Man, I mean Donkey Kong to like illegal, and I was terrified to release it. And I asked a good friend, Tommy Who, which had Tommy Who Records back in the day, which was another really big inspiration. And, I give him a lot of credit because he had a record store and he left me up on his website as the DJ of the month. And I think he left me up there for like a year and a half. So, nice. That was very, very good publicity. But I asked him, I said, look, I got this crazy release. I don't really want anything from it, but I'd like to just release it. Just say I did it. It's illegal. And, he gave me the best advice. He said, look, everybody's doing illegal music. I hate to say it. Everyone's taking a sample of this sample of this sample. And when it really boils down to it, as long as you're not making $1 million and making a ruckus like that, you should be okay. Worst things that's going to happen is they're going to send you a cease and desist. And, then obviously you're going to have to stop what you're doing. And so I put out my first release back in the day on Reverb Nation. I don't know if you remember Reverb.
Yeah, it's still around.
Yeah, but I put my first release out on that, and I was terrified. I thought I was going to get sued. I thought I was going to. It goes on iTunes. It goes on like all these distributions that they have, and I made $600 in a month.
Oh, that's great, brother.
I was like, somebody's actually buying this crap. And then I did. So it was a live production, really, is what I wanted out of it. And I handwrite all of my music, especially back then on a Roland Phantom G6 and an F6 and some of the older models. And so going back to the live video and new breaks, I ended up showcasing my whole weird creation. And I had my keyboard above the turntables, and I integrated me playing live keys over me mixing the records and tracks together, and it was something else, let me tell you. So that was my real decent entry into really trying to say maybe I'm an artist to a degree, but it wasn't in no way, shape, or form. Even to this day, believe it or not, I know this is stupid to say, but I will say I do not consider myself a good producer in any way, shape, or form.
You're just humble, man. You're just.
Oh no, all the music that I write is with Jigabot, and Jenna's my wife, and most of the songs are just inspired to her. We're both super huge breakbeat fans of all natures, women vocals, trancey breaks, down tempo, electro-breaks, to you name it. And so I've never set out necessarily into production saying, I'm going to write that song just like this. A lot of our stuff is extremely sporadic. I have handwritten a lot of tracks, and melodies and everything. And I'm also not afraid to say I am a sample junkie lover. I love samples. I'll say it out loud. I love Frankenstein, or taking a Frankenstein project and seeing, it's kind of like mixing records. You just throw two records to make a remix. And for me, that's how I look at samples too, though. So I am a big sample junkie, and a lot of the music that we write really was never intended for the public at all, to be honest. I never really intended on releasing, to be super honest, at all. And it's really amazing that so many people have taken notice into the music. I feel there's nothing too terribly special about it. I mean, I took your advice, and I write my music by what you told me that morning about how to count beats. 32 beats and then 64, something changes, and that's how I write my music, is because of you. Going back to you, write my music because the way you told me to, and I've never changed it. And I got into really loopy type production. I started thinking, well, some techno tracks and house tracks and other genres, they can be really, really repetitive. Well, why can't breaks kind of be that way? And one day, I had a record, and this record was 18 minutes of every 32 to 64 beats. It changed a different remix, like "Shot in the Heart," and then it would go to something else. And I absolutely, incredibly adored that record. But I started noticing, listening to that record, I was like, God, man, I wish they would have looped that a couple more times, looped that a couple more times, looped that a couple more times. And I think that day is where I started developing more of a, not necessarily a completely loopy track, but I'm really into long tracks. I'm into a 2-minute intro, not intro, but beats into a drop, into a midpoint, and I could do like a 4-6 minute outro to that track for the purposes of mixing, because we're DJs, and I still love the long mixes, so I make incredibly long songs. And if you break down the song itself, it's probably a 4 or 5 minute song, but with adding gigantic ends and stuff like that, it could be like a 23 minute long song.
Dude, 23 minutes. No, I totally love and agree with that, because some songs, I'm in the same route. I love songs that, like, because when you start listening to a song, in my ears, and it's a good song, you like being in that world, you're enjoying it. So sometimes you want a little breakdown, a different bridge going to a different part, and then it comes back to the chorus later. Everything comes together. All of that stuff is great. A lot of songs out there are tracks, just like quick mix in, they get the idea, everybody's partying, and then you mix out to the next track. But then there are songs like the ones that you do that I like.
And I noticed with the repetitiveness, it can be a little bit entrancing. A longer song, you can almost tell a better story. It's like we've lost the storytelling from the 90s into basically the club action that we're seeing. Everybody thinks they have to have a banger.
Yeah. One after another. But some of the best parties are like when they let the tracks play out.
Yeah, and you're a master mixing guy, and I think that's where I got that from too. I mean, letting the tracks ride and tell the stories. And going back to production, a lot of the songs are love letters to my wife. They're and me and you talked about this the other day. The way I look at my art production is me sitting on the phone, like I'm sitting here talking with you, and I'm just doodling on a piece of paper. And that's how I feel our tracks are. They're not necessarily even complete in a lot of cases. They're just doodles, and I'm a big Electro-Breaks fan for breakdancing, big bass. It's fun to spin live. But when we also throw a lot of personal house parties with our friends and stuff, and a lot of people don't want to listen to that at that time. You know, you got to set the mood and stuff. And so we write a lot of trancier breaks and women vocal breaks. And I actually write a lot opposite than what anybody would ever think that I would actually write. Just due to the simple fact of, you know, I want Jenna to be proud. I want her to know that I love her. And a lot of times maybe I don't say that enough to her. So us being in the Marines together and, you know, those days and stuff, I ended up getting a severe tinnitus diagnosis through the VA in 2000. And
I didn't know that. Oh, man.
Well, I knew I had it ringing in my ears the whole entire time, and it was from, you know, driving assault vehicles.
Right.
So for me, it just became a normal part of my life, and I didn't really think anything about it. I honestly thought everybody had ringing in their ears, and I never questioned it, and I never said anything, and it never bothered me in life necessarily. And then when I got the diagnosis, it devastated me, man. It scared the hell out of me, and it like really almost was in a bad direction after getting the news. You know, I thought my DJ career was completely over. I started really writing even more personalized, just songs to Jenna, and you know, the public obviously caught wind and listened to some of these, and going back to, you know, top charts and stuff like that. I mean, these just simple structured songs, you know, just basically telling my wife that I loved her, and you know, maybe I'm not saying the things that I need to say to her. We're saying them through music, and I just think, you know, it was a tough time, and so a lot of this music again is written to talk to Jenna and to talk to myself and to snap myself out of things. And you know, there for a while, it just wasn't going good. The ringing in my ear started intensifying once somebody told me that I actually had a problem. And so I was pretty highly fixated on that, and literally had to change my life. You know, just to be honest, I loved smoking weed, and you know, smoking weed was actually intensifying the ringing. So I quit. I quit doing all of that. Never been a real big drinker and stuff, and so I had to literally change my life over it. But again, I really thought my DJ career was completely over. My production career was over, and you know, finally one day I was like, you know, before somebody told you had a problem, you didn't have a problem. And, you know, it just became not necessarily that easy for me to say, that's what you need to remember. And that's kind of how I snapped out of it. But I was kind of in bad shape there for a little while, to be honest with you. And music production and DJing definitely saved my life. And, you know, that's not the first time that music has saved my life. I mean, music's probably saved my life every day, to be honest. I mean, in the bad times that I was saying, you know, one of my friends murdered, and just bad times and different things like that. I mean, the biggest thing that's always been there for me and to keep going and be able to express my emotion at that time was obviously music. And going back to the lost art, and DJ Natural Nate and the whole thing, I just have so many people to thank. It would be just this endless list of people to thank, all the productions, all the bands, I just owe, it would just be an endless list. I owe so many thanks to all the DJs that played for us, to the producers that gave us our music for them to listen to G-Ron, Georgie, you know, I just truly have been, you know, I always say this too, music has been, you know, my best friend and my worst enemy. And, you know, after talking about some of these topics with you, I'm sure everybody can agree that they understand why. But, you know, music has just been, you know, everything to me. It's been everything, and I've just always wanted to just have the opportunity to share that with other people, not only through my production but through the Lost Art websites, and just cheering other people on and saying that you can be a top 100, top 50 DJ. You can go set a world record. You can do that production. You can do anything in your life, and your biggest attributes to being human is failing 5 bazillion times to getting up and to doing that one goal finally after that many attempts. And you just don't give up. You don't give up. You figure out what happened, what was wrong the last time, and you make it better and better and better and better. And anybody can do anything that they want in their lives if they really want to.
Nate, that's beautiful, man. Like your music. Everybody needs, the listeners, you guys got to go check out Nate's. We're going to have links to everything I'm going to put out. There's an amazing interview that you did somewhere else. It's a written article, so we're going to put that up, and we're going to have all the links to Nate and the lostart.com. And I appreciate, Nate, everything you say, and you told me, you gave me your heart in this interview. And that was the point. I wanted a lot of people to know your story, and it's an amazing story.
I promise you, I'm not that bad of a guy. I promise.
No, you're great, brother. You're great. You and me, I feel we'll be friends for life, man. That's why. And I love you, and I love you for doing this, and I really appreciate it. And I really needed this. I really needed this in my life, and a couple of other outlets are going to be upset that I took the interview with you. I've been asked, several times through other places for many years, and going back to the tinnitus and just all the crap that surrounded this. I've not wanted to do that with them, but I just needed the right time and the right place and the right friend. I mean, to be able to. I'm always there for you, brother. Always
to
there
be able
for
to
you.
talk about this comfortably, and
yes,
just put it out. Not that I couldn't do that with them and stuff, but I just and I will do those interviews just to let the other guys and outlets out there know. A couple special shout outs. Damien Doyle is a part owner. Jen is a part owner. Chris Peacock is now a part owner of the Lost Art. We've done tons. Instead of doing the Lost Art, Chris Peacock kind of kicked me in my tail. We did tons, and still, well, not tons now, but tons of outdoor shows, and revved up the Lost Art in a live fashion that way versus using a website. So I owe him a lot of things. I owe just so many people: Nicole Dodman, Sean, Axel V, Dave Noller, Dynamix. I mean, God, I can be here for the rest of my life just naming out names, and there's a million people that I just owe credit to and thanks. And I'd just like to give special shout out to Rob Cokless, 77 Deuce, Electro Echelon, Fragile Recordings, James Wolf, Dominance Electricity, Matthias, 17 Audio with Ken, Underground Music Experience, Paulus out of the Netherlands, Mike LaFortuna, Nicole with the Freebase crew, STFU crew with Steven, Sean Mooney, Christina Mooney, Brandon B-Bomb B, Angelica, Chris Waldron, DJ Diablo, Tony G, Sante, Hoodwink, Andre Electro, DEA Rob with the Lost Art. A special shout out to Axel V and Hope. My own parents, Dave and Jackie, Adam, Jamanda, Chris Poole, Scott, Ghost, Michaela, Aubrey, Kiki, Frank Thomas, Jen, Monkey Tennis Group, JB Thomas and Chronic, Heather and Jason from Phonotronics, Debonair, Bruise Your Body Breaks, which is another one of my labels we didn't really highlight too much. Chris Peacock, again, being a part owner and pushing me into doing more shows. Jenna, of course, even though we talked about her quite a bit. All the Rave Cave crew, the North Carolina crew, Porno James, Steven, and everybody else out there. If I'm not mentioning you, you're in my heart and soul. And like I said, I could be here the rest of my life giving shout outs. So, but again, I just really, really appreciate this, man.
No, thank you so much for this. And I know everyone's going to be very happy to help you and keep supporting you because you're such a positive person. And like a lot of people look up to you and respect you, admire you, admire your skills. You're very talented. Don't forget, I also appreciate everything you've done for me. And I really want to thank you again for the interview. DJing saved our lives, right? that's the next t-shirt.
I'm just a regular guy trying to follow in my one of my best friends, G. Ron's footsteps.
I appreciate it, man. You're one of my boys for life, brother, man. I'll never forget you, brother, man. I love you, and we'll be in touch, all right?
Okay, man. I love you too.
Hey, man.
All right.
Big shouts to you and the fam over there. All right, bro. Peace.
All right, bye-bye.
This is electronic rhythm.com.
Can you feel the sun?
that